Sunday 12th of January, back in Chile. I left El Calafate about 4 days ago, and I spent the last few days in abandoned, I don't know if it's abandoned, it's a neglected old police house. It's uninhabited anyway. And yeah, just combination of taking a bit of time out in the middle of nowhere, because it's a building in the middle of a desert pretty much, and waiting for the right weather to cross back into Chile, because otherwise you're against the westerly wind. And Sunday today, it's a very calm day, really pleasant. So set off today up to Don Guillermo, I think it is, the pass, to Cerro Castillo, which is a little border town, not much to speak of. It's got two cafeterias, but they don't bother opening, sort of lunchtime, eating time. Very sleepy place. And then I headed up to Torres del Paine. Looking over on the horizon, the peaks were in cloud. It looked like there was rain over there. But up ahead there was this Cerro de Guido in the sun, so I just followed the tractor there, and I found this lovely camping spot. Yeah, I think it's farmland, because the track leads to a closed gate. There's a river down there, a bit too far to get water, but I've got a litre on me. Just having my dinner of chicken empanada and a couple of glasses of wine, finish the bottle off, and then I'll be turning in. It's 6:30 at the moment. Sunsets at 10, so pretty much an early night. Right, this province then is Magallanes and Antarctica, because it's pretty south in Argentina and Chile. Chile, this province. And Ushuaia is 64 degrees south. It's not that far south. It's not even that. I was looking at the tip of Antarctica, that's 64 degrees. I'm currently nearly 51 degrees south, so I'm as far from the South Pole as London is from the North Pole. And I've picked a place sheltered from wind, and it's pretty warm actually, quite hot. Ushuaia is, I think it's 54 degrees, and it's the world's most southern city. But then Newcastle on Tyne is 55 degrees north, so that's closer to the North Pole than Ushuaia is to the South Pole. So a bit of perspective. Having said all that, it does get pretty cold down there, because you don't get the insulation from the sea. So it gets pretty cold sometimes with a south wind. I'm just going to pause it a sec. Yeah, so I sought this place out. It was the end of a calm day of wind. Patagonia, notorious for severe westerly, fierce winds, really. They knock people off their bikes on a regular basis, but today was perfect. Forecast for tomorrow is light winds until the afternoon, and the winds build again. So from here I want to get up early, go back down the dirt track, and do the circle of the lakes around Torres del Paine. Hopefully there's no clouds, so I can get some decent pictures. It's always a bit of a gamble, especially here. It's like a bigger version of North Wales with Snowdon. And then when the wind builds, I'll just head south to Porto Natales, That'll be the next town. I need to get some cash. I've got enough to keep me going if I get caught short at a petrol station. Luckily I've got loads of Argentinian currency, because the last gas station I called at, solo efectivo, that means cash only. Yeah, so no problems there. It's funny what bits of paper with different pictures on has an impact of your life, you know. It's got the wrong words and wrong pictures, you're stuffed, because it has no value for the people looking at it in that side of the border. Yeah, stop it again, hold on. Yeah, so I'm sorted now really for Chile. The last few days I had, first time in that police house, the first day, there were 3 cyclists in there, and they said they had a visit from the police saying you can't stay here, we don't mind you camping outside, and they decided to push on to the gas station, which is 40 kilometres south of where that was. So I was left on my own, expecting the police to come back to check the situation, but nobody. I set my camp out in a spare room. Had a really peaceful night. No wind that night. The next day, a lot of solitude until the afternoon. A couple of families swung by, have a look around. The place is marked on an app called iOverlander, so anyone who's travelling by, checks out these places. So I just stayed there reading my Kindle. Later on, a couple on bicycles, they stopped to camp, and then 2 other guys later, they were camping as well, so there was 5 of us that night, and they cleared off in the morning, leaving me to the day. Took a bath in the stream, had a walk around, a bit of a read. The wind was quite fierce in the morning and unusually calmed down in the afternoon, which is the opposite of what happens normally. So I was thinking of leaving, and then a guy from Spain on a bicycle, he was going north, he stopped by. Couldn't speak much English, but we cobbled together conversation. My little Spanish and his little English. And then a guy from Switzerland, he was finishing off a continent long ride. Came over to Portamont and going down to Ushuaia. He could speak good English, he did a bit of translating. And then later on, a guy from Seattle, Washington State, dropped by. 70 years old. Had a lot to say. It sounded like he had an English accent actually. And I turned in pretty soon after that. They were speaking in Spanish. So this morning, the Swiss guy and the Spanish guy left, and the American guy who was typing up his notes in the police office, we had a bit of a chat, and he took a few photos. Very interesting. Because he's 70, he's quite fit. He said his knees are getting weaker, and I recognised that in myself. You know, I'm only 58, because I'm not really exercising. Or treading water for any exercise I do. So he was thinking about getting a small motorbike like mine. So we were putting our heads together. What's the best option and things like that. And then I set off, left him behind, doing what he needed to do. Gas station, border, Chile, Torres del Paine, and here I am for the night.